Welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We're going to be unpacking a seriously insightful document, the e-commerce listing conversion dashboard. Now let's be totally honest for a second. There is literally nothing more frustrating than paying top dollar for ads, getting people all the way to your online store, and then just watching them vanish without buying a single thing. It's the worst, right? So today, we're going to explore the exact mechanics of why stores are leaking these hard-earned sales, and way more importantly, we'll discover how you can actually fix it using some really smart, data-driven strategies.
Okay, let's dive into this. Traffic is meaningless if your product page pushes buyers away. This quote right here, straight from the dashboard, perfectly shatters one of the absolute biggest myths in the entire e-commerce world. We spend so much time, obsessing over marketing, running endless ad campaigns, and just trying to drive massive volumes of visitors to our sites. But here's the painful reality check. Bringing people to the door means absolutely nothing if the room they walk into immediately makes them want to turn around and leave. Traffic? Well, that's really only half the battle.
So you might be wondering, why exactly is your cart abandonment so stubbornly high? What's actually happening when all that hard-earned traffic just seems to evaporate? Well, it's called a sales leak. And as our source clearly outlines, sales leaks are basically common listing errors. But we're not just talking about minor typos here. No, these are critical structural flaws that actively deplete what the playbook calls your listing's health score and its overall conversion potential. Ultimately, these are easily fixable holes, but they are the direct cause of that high cart abandonment. Your customers are literally slipping right through the cracks before they even have a chance to hit the buy button.
And this brilliantly illustrates the solution. The playbook features an interactive listing diagnostic tool, and it's a total game changer because it takes the abstract idea of a bad listing and makes it tangible. By toggling these common mistakes, store owners can actually see the direct, immediate impact those specific errors have on their bottom line. It totally removes the guesswork, which is huge. It forces us to look right at the specific elements that are actively driving our potential buyers away.
Let's break down the 3 massive leaks identified in this diagnostic. First up, copy-pasted supplier data. Look, we all know taking descriptions straight from a supplier is a super tempting shortcut when you're a busy store owner, but the source is super explicit about this. It completely kills your SEO, and it instantly breaks buyer trust. Second is a messy visual layout. If your page is cluttered or just hard to scan, your bounce rate is going to skyrocket, simply because people won't stick around to figure it out. And third, missing key specifications. This creates immediate hesitation, and as the playbook so perfectly puts it, confused buyers simply don't buy.
The thing to remember is that these mistakes don't just exist in a vacuum. Every single time you leave a copy-pasted description up on a page, or maybe forget to include a crucial product dimension, it actively depletes your listing health score. And the source makes it undeniable. A lower health score directly translates to the painful reality of higher cart abandonment. As that score drops, the chances skyrocket that your customer is just closing the tab and handing their money to a competitor who actually took the time to optimize their page.
So how do we actually plug these leaks? Well, the playbook gives us a pretty stark, undeniable warning. A generic listing fails everywhere. You absolutely cannot take a one-size-fits-all approach and expect to win. To optimize successfully, you have got to tailor the architecture of your product page to the specific algorithms and the totally unique user behaviors of the actual platform you're selling on. It doesn't matter if that's Shopify, WooCommerce, or Amazon, the approach has to be customized.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the radar chart completely breaks down the optimization strategy for a platform like Shopify. It becomes so clear that just throwing up a bunch of keywords isn't going to cut it anymore. Algorithms and user expectations shift wildly from platform to platform. Shopify specifically requires a premium brand experience. It really leans heavily into visual storytelling and establishing a highly distinct, super strong brand identity. To pull that off, the source details 3 really vital goals for Shopify optimization. First, you need a brand-centric visual hierarchy. The very way the page is laid out must instantly communicate your brand's unique value. Second, your text cannot just be dry facts. No way. You need emotional, benefit-driven copywriting that connects deeply with the buyer's desires. And finally, you must have a frictionless checkout flow structure. You essentially want to take the customer by the hand, right from that very first emotional visual hook, straight through to the purchase button, without them hitting a single bump in the road.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 2. The cost of nothing. Calculating the financial impact of optimization. To really see the explosive financial value of this kind of optimization, the playbook features an awesome interactive calculator. Let's look at a baseline scenario.
Imagine having 10,000 monthly page visitors. I just want you to imagine the sheer effort, the time, and the significant advertising spend it actually takes to drive 10,000 unique people to a store in a single month. That is a massive achievement. But let's remember our very first insight. All that hard-earned traffic is completely meaningless if the page pushes them away.
So the crucial point is the absolutely staggering difference a small optimization makes to those 10,000 visitors. Look at the math. With an unoptimized listing converting at just 1%, you get 100 sales. But by fixing those structural leaks we talked about, by improving the copy, cleaning up the layout, adding the right specs, and getting just a slight bump to a 3% conversion rate, you suddenly achieve 300 sales. You are literally tripling your sales and your bottom line, and you're doing it all without spending a single extra dime on advertising. The traffic was already there, you just stopped letting it leak out.
Which brings us to our final, really provocative question, straight from the source playbook. Are you losing your customers right at the finish line? You've already done the incredibly hard work of getting them into your store. So please, don't let a generic layout or some copy-pasted text push them right back out the door. By fixing these simple leaks, you reclaim the sales you've already earned. It's time to stop leaking sales, review your listing's health score, and start optimizing today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you the structural clarity you need to absolutely maximize your e-commerce success.